This is Power Athlete Radio. With your hosts, Denny K, Professor Booty, and the Luke Summers. And now, toes forward, hips locked, shoulders set, and retract those scapulars. It's time for some knowledge bombs.
All right, welcome to Power Athlete Radio. This is Steve. I'm here with Jenny and Luke. What's up, fellas?
Not much. How you doing?
What's going on, guys?
Well.
Just trying to.
Luke, you're just back.
Another day.
Yeah. Now you're just back from SoCal Regionals, right?
Yeah, we spent the weekend in Del Mar in the Del Mar racetrack, and met a ton of people. Watched some CrossFit drama. We were considered a vendor, so we were in what they call Vendor Village, which was about a 50-yard by 30-yard patch of mulch where people just walked through, kicked up a bunch of dirt, and I'll tell you, all weekend I was breathing in this wood dust, and I feel like I'm suffering right now. But we ended up having a vertical jump test at our booth, and we were continually getting in trouble all weekend because we had too many people around our booth. And we've gotten feedback from email, Facebook, Twitter, that people came by, had a ton of fun. And, that's part of our gig here. We put on a good show, make sure people have a good time, get a workout and learn something. So that's kind of the moral of the weekend. John was there for a day. He was able to get about 4 hours of freedom from the family. And but for the most part, it was me, Ben, Callie, Chelsea, and a couple other people helping out. So it was good stuff, dude.
Nice.
I seen that one picture on the website of Ben hitting 33.5-inch vertical.
Yeah.
Is there somebody else who got like 39 or
there was
36?
a dude who got 38 and a half. So 36 and a half stood for Friday and Saturday. And then this guy came in at the end of Saturday. He was working at the RX jump ropes booth. He came over and totally unassuming guy, valgus knees, fucking navicular drop. This dude did not look like he was going to jump. And out of nowhere, he just springs up and hits 37 on his first jump. So right there, the three guys who got 36 and a half, they're knocked off the leaderboard. So then they find out about it over Facebook or Twitter or whatever, however they found out about it. So they came back. And a dude ended up putting up a 38.5-inch vertical, but we didn't get it on camera. There was a guy who was walking by. He ended up taking a bunch of pictures. He said he was going to email it to us, so I'm waiting to get that picture. But and then there was a lot of people who,
that's crazy,
had like a 24-inch vertical. A lot of people. And they're like, it doesn't make sense because I have a 42-inch box jump, and it's like, and John and I had to talk about that. John actually just walked in.
Hey, what's happening, guys?
But it's just
What's up, John?
What's up, John?
How are you?
People are, I don't know when the turn of events was, but now it's like how high of a box you can jump on determines how athletic you are. And it's just, you don't see the transfer when it comes to actual like maximal dynamic display of strength on a vertical jump.
Yeah, it's I've never known where this phenomenon came from, where people were talking about how high they can jump on up on a box, because when you watch people do it, it just looks like an exercise in extreme flexibility. They're able to kind of contort themselves to get up on the box. And, I remember, Jeff Martin posted a video of his son Connor jumping up on some crazy ass box. And I asked him, I was like, what's his vertical jump? And I think they tested it, and his vert was pretty good. It was in the 30s, which is, pretty solid for most people. And, coming from my background, it was always about, what's your vertical jump? How much weight can you displace vertically? Never about jumping up on a box. So I don't know where this whole thing came from, but I'm pretty sure I saw that there's a dude that teaches a seminar about how to jump up on boxes. It's called the Explosive Seminar. I'd like to see what his vertical jump is on a vert tech.
Nice. On the CrossFit football boards, there was, I think it was CrossFit football boards, there was some talk about box jumping, and somebody had read some blog post or something where when you jump on the box, you're not supposed to land below parallel. And I think that's what you're talking about when you talk about this exercise in like freakish flexibility, right? You like pull your legs up till they're over your shoulders. Yeah. And so what is the? I mean, so the question on the CFF board was, what should we be doing? Should we be shooting for that, or should we be shooting for like a power clean landing above parallel on the box?
Power clean landing above parallel. I think what was it when we read some of the Verkhoshansky stuff?
Like 105 degrees.
Yeah, it was like 105 degrees of flexion. Anything less than that, and the effect of what you're doing for the jumping doesn't have the same effect.
Don't take that. Don't quote that. I'll look that up and I'll get it. I'll get that when I post the blog. I'll find that info.
Word.
But
cool.
I know.
Cool. So something you guys.
I did the 3RM seated box jump. I saw a couple of the guys when I was in our office doing it as well. But the reps 1 and 2 basically landing straight legged on, let's say, 40-inch box. But then me personally, I'd get to that third rep and I'd have to swing my feet up so high, and I'd consider that failed the 10th, and I'd rest longer. And then, sure enough, after 4 or 5 minutes of rest, I'd get back in there, punch my feet in the ground, and I'd get all 3 reps above parallel. And that's how we train here. And I guess that's how you would look to complete it at your gym. But I mean, if you're at the end of the day, you're in a dick swinging contest to see how high of a box you can jump on, do what you got to do. But understand the difference between testing and training. And we're trying to train to displace your body weight vertically at a maximal distance, so do what you got to do to accomplish that.
Nice. Good. Easy question. I wanted to follow up, Denny, before we get into the talk about the 488 program.
Uh-huh.
I thought last time, Luke, when we talked about the amateur collegiate pro programming, it was like nail in the coffin. But Andrew K writes on the Power Athlete on the follow up to that podcast. Follow up to the issue about amateur progression time frame 20 weeks. Got it. And he says, what if you're still scaling most of the DWADs? Stay on amateur, and then asks if he should punch himself in the dick, which
yes. No and yes.
Okay. So that's easy enough. I mean, that's, a question he feels like since he's scaling the DWADs. And my thought was the effect of the amateur program is the effect of the amateur program because you scale the DWAD. Those are different things. Is that right?
Well, you only get to utilize that amateur progression and the adaptation that it drives for a certain window. Then it doesn't become the optimal approach to training and getting stronger. Both programs are designed to get you stronger, right? But when you first start out and you're ripe, then this amateur approach works. When you've exhausted that training effect, then we need to jump into the collegiate deal. And if you have to scale the DWADs, scale the DWADs, but try to progress that as well. Keep your logs. Don't be afraid to go heavier and maybe cut back on reps.
Yeah,
makes
right.
Sense.
I mean,
cool. All right, Denny, you want to talk about the 488? Or
a couple guys, I think Colorado Steve and Ivan on the CrossFit Football blog were wondering about that program, and I've always been interested in that. Being 39 years old, I'm not. I can still hang. I feel like I do the workouts as they're written. I feel like I'm getting stronger every day. When I look back at where I was in my 20s, I feel like I'm stronger and faster and more flexible. And my goal is to continually be able to kick ass. But if there ever comes a time where I just can't hang with those kind of workouts and I have to start dialing it back, the 488 program looks pretty interesting. And that was written in a Talk to Me Johnny article, I think in 2010 or 11.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if anything has changed, John, since when you initially wrote up that program for whoever it was you wrote that up. I mean, would you, as it's written now, are you happy with that, or would you change anything? A couple years later, as the programs changed, the CrossFit football programs changed.
For the most part, I mean, it kind of fits. It's just a reduced volume on the program. I mean, you're basically rotating each week with a squat, a deadlift, and a front squat for your intensity. I mean, I had it listed at 3 RMs, but you could probably do anywhere from a 5 to a 4 to a 3 to a 2 to a 1 in those movements. and then just the accessory for X, Y, and Z angle for our different planes with dumbbell step-ups and walking lunges, and then you got some curls, and then some glute hams and a couple other things. And then the next day for the upper body volume is kind of a push and some higher rep stuff. I mean, no, it's pretty much the same. I mean, I don't think we'll ever get to a point where we're actually going to program a 488 just because we have enough stuff to do. So, but yeah, I saw some guy posting in there like, how about posting a fourth workout? I'm like, no, because it's a different program.
No.
And it doesn't fit with necessarily identically within the template. So I posted it up there.
You have
can't
a
figure out what to do off of what
like
I get
age group that you had in mind when you wrote that? I mean, is it for, it just says well seasoned, you know, does that mean a person in their 50s, 40s, you know, is it just kind of, you got to
did you ever
make
see
your own opinion on it?
Did you ever see Beer Fest? Did you ever see the movie Beer Fest?
No.
No, you never saw Beer Fest? Well, there was a line in there. It goes, you know, it's $10 for a ZJ. He goes, what's a ZJ? He goes, if you got to ask, big man, you can't afford it. Here's my thing. If you got to ask if you're well seasoned, you're not well seasoned. You know who well seasoned is. You know, the guy that looks at this program and thinks there's no way I could do this. What else you got? You know, so Denny, I wouldn't say you're too well seasoned yet. I'm saying probably made it another 10 years. You'll probably be well seasoned. It's kind of when, you know, you still want to do the training and you're looking for something that kind of fits, but yet, you know, CrossFit football doesn't fit specifically for you. That's kind of where the well season fits in. Why are you thinking that you're over the hill, Denny? You need a little 488?
You know, maybe it's the people I'm around, but I'm always like the old guy joke, you know, and it kind of gives me incentive to crush them. We did that. What was the 21-15-9 back squat ring dip workout a few days ago, and the guy I usually train with, he was going to train at a later time. So we at A3 CrossFit, we're also like a performance center. So right now we have some college athletes coming in, kind of doing like a off-season strength program.
Sure. And
one guy I was doing it with, he's a quarterback for University of Wisconsin Whitewater. And he's like, you know, younger 20s. And we did that workout together, and I mean he got me, but we're talking like by 6 seconds. I mean, I think I had like a 5:34, and he did it in like 5 minutes 28 seconds or something like that. And I was cool with that, you know, being that he's like 20 years younger than me, and he kind of didn't know what to say about it. And the next day, you know, he's like, "Are your legs sore? Are your legs sore?" And I'm like, "Not really, man." You know, and he's like, "Man, you know, my legs are just crushed." And I just kind of like laughed, you know, and I was like, you know, chalk one up for the old guy.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say you're ready for the 488 yet.
You say if you're punking these quarterbacks from UW Whitewater, then you got some
straight up punking them.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got some juice.
You know what? I'm getting fired up for the team series, dude. It's like in 3-4 weeks, and I'll PR in any fucking lift that I'm asked to do. So far, it looks like I'm either gonna bench or squat, but I'm kind of preparing myself, you know, to PR in everything. And,
don't give away the secrets, Denny. That we had other people who were freaking out that they were going to be sabotaged by other teams once they give away their strategy. I guess this whole competition deal, people are, you know, they'll do anything to win.
Yeah. Well, the prizes are awesome.
It is a big prize. It is a big prize, but I'd feel more satisfied winning if I sent my program to every single freaking athlete who was going to participate in that, so they knew what I was doing, and I still came in there and crushed it. You know what I mean? It reminds me like the old, the cliche in football. We're going to run the ball. The other team knows we're going to run the ball, but we're still going to run the ball, and you try to stop us.
Denny, didn't you play when they had leather helmets? So, I mean, you know, when you play the leather helmet, it doesn't matter. I mean, they didn't invent the forward pass yet. So, I mean, everybody knew you were going to run the ball every time.
That's true.
Nice.
Poor Denny.
The plays are written in stone. I can't talk. I'm only 1 year younger.
As we say, man, it doesn't matter if it's a second or an inch. You know, it's still an ass kicking.
That's
We'd be
right.
like, dude, we beat
That's
that team by 1 point. We beat their ass. Doesn't matter if it's 1 point, an inch, a second. It doesn't matter.
Damn straight. A win's a win. That's awesome. All right, cool. We have some submissions to Power Athlete headquarters. So Ingo, who's been around forever, right? Ingo writes, I'd like to hear stories of past programming fails/nightmares. Perhaps a week of movements that had no business being put together, but you didn't know that until afterwards. In the rare event we ever need to switch movements or hold days even, it'd be nice to learn from past experiences so we don't repeat history. So I guess this question is basically, is there anything that has happened on the CrossFit football where it was just a complete clusterfuck? You posted it and afterwards you were like, that was idiotic.
Yeah, heavy deadlifts and toes to bar.
Yeah.
We had a workout back in the day that was like heavy deadlifts, like 315 for a bunch of reps and then a bunch of toes to bar. And we did it. And like all of a sudden, everybody was lit up in their low back. I mean, everybody's having neck problems and hip problems. And, all of a sudden we had a rash of that evil disease called sciatica, where everybody was having sciatic problems. And then I got a rash of emails that everybody was like, oh, my back's hurt. So probably the single two most damaging movements that you can pair are heavy deadlifts and a bunch of toes to bar. So that was probably the worst one, or some of the mistakes that I made was another real crappy one.
Whatever happened to the wall touches? I haven't seen those programmed in a while. You used to ride up like 9-foot wall touch.
Yeah. Oh, are you talking about the reverse wall climbs?
No,
like
jump, like mark a 9-foot target and jump and touch the wall. Not so many times X number.
Yeah, those. I mean, that wasn't a bad one. We just I don't know when that'll make its way back in. Probably the one that I'm pretty good about trying things out. Like the one great idea I had was we were going to do the 3 bars of death. The 10 down to 1. Power clean, bench press, deadlift. Is that what it is? No, it's power clean, bench press, and deadlift.
Yeah.
So we decided, and it's like, I think they called Linda or 3 bars to death. We had decided that we were going to sub out the deadlift for back squats. And like, I think I did in the Linda in like 26 minutes, and then we subbed in the back squat, and it was 75% power clean, 100% of body weight bench press, and then like 1 1/4 back squat. And all of a sudden, Linda turned into like 63 minutes of just like heavyweight fist fight. And it was, it definitely wasn't a very good one. So that one never made it on because I tested it ahead of time. But for the most part, I think at least for the first couple of years, any type of, if there was a question about anything, or if we wanted to, if we hadn't paired something, we usually did it ahead of time. And after about 2 years, we'd pretty much done everything that we would ever imagine. And so for the most part, I think we figured out a lot of what was right and what was wrong. I mean, as long as you, kind of stick to the model of, train a full body, break it up into push and pulls, different planes of motion, and, don't overload movement patterns, you're usually pretty good and can kind of keep it sustainable.
Now, what about even before CrossFit football? Was there anything that you did in your training with any of your other coaches that just failed? Or like, can you think of anything? I mean, what about the 7-minute mile test?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 1 year at Cal, my head coach thought that we weren't in very good shape. He thought we were fast, we weren't in good shape, so he was going to change the conditioning test into a timed mile. So that whole off season, we ran nothing but like timed miles. And because I was under 300 pounds, I had to run a sub 7-minute mile, and I think I ran a 6:58 finally after like doing it like twice a week for the whole summer. And I ended up passing. The only problem is nobody had done any speed work. And so we had been lifting weights and just running distance. And needless to say, we were extremely shitty that year. It's amazing, what needs to happen to pass your conditioning test had nothing to do with what the application on the field was. So that was a massive fail. We didn't do so well that year. I think of what else I did in my programming that was kind of interesting. Let me think. After my rookie season, when they wanted me to weigh 335 pounds and I ended up weighing 336, that was a terrible idea. I remember I went out to mini camp and like I took a pass set and I felt like the guy ran around me like I was like a big planet and he was like a little moon orbiting me. He moved so fast. And I literally left mini camp and like literally I think I ate like one salad a day and like did like literally rode like 4 hours on the exercise bike and lost like 30 pounds in 6 weeks and showed up at about 300 pounds and played pretty well. So that was a terrible idea. But the only thing with this training, and I think what is kind of confusing and what I see a lot of is like everybody's always asking about, oh, what accessory work do you want to do? And I'm like, if you see the way the programs lift or really works, like today, for example, we did some horizontal pressing. We tested a 1RM in the front squat. And then the accessory work is this thing that we call the DWAD, where we had 3 front squats, a rope climb, and some push-ups. And we did an AMRAP, I think it was in 15 minutes. Like if you want to do some bicep curls, but if you get done with that WOD and you feel like, yeah, I need to hit some more accessory work, that's going to be pretty legit on the rope climb. I mean, I'm usually pretty fried from that workout. So usually what we've done is we've kind of hidden a lot of what you would call your accessory work in the daily WOD, in the conditioning portion. I mean, what we used to call back in the day, we used to call them supersets. But I mean, I'm not going to program bicep curls. I mean, if you want to program and you want to do hammer curls, should you do hammer curls? Yes. Do I do hammer curls? Yes.
Shrugs, hammer curls,
do we do shrugs?
Bent over row.
Yes. Do I do some bent over row? Yes. If you need like the reason that I've never really programmed any accessory work is it's always been very unique to me. Like I know what I need to hit in my big lifts. I know what I do for my accessory is different than what Luke does for his accessory. So, I've never seen a majority of these people ever train, so I have no concept of what's wrong with them. I watch a lot of these videos where people post with their squat and be like, hey, can you critique me on my squat? And like, they're looking for some magical thing. And all I want to write is like, you need to get fucking stronger. Like, and the only way you get stronger is by getting underneath the bar. The analogy I give, it seems like I give this analogy 100 times a day, is training is like moving dirt. There's a massive pile of dirt that I have to move from one place to another place. You can either move it with a spoon, you can move it with a shovel, or you can move it with a front loader. As long as you're moving dirt every day, you're fine. The problem is everybody's looking for this like magical thing that like, oh, somehow I'm going to do some accessory work that's going to magically make up for my shitty squat. Especially when you look at a lot of the West Side stuff where Louis is really talking Louis Simmons is talking about accessory work. He's talking about guys that squat 1,000 pounds that are looking for minute changes that, maybe something's out of balance or their hamstrings aren't strong enough and they need to sit back a little farther in the squat. A guy adds a bunch of weighted, full GHRs, and next thing you know, he hits a PR in one of his lifts. I mean, when you're talking about amateurs, you just need time under the bar. We call it greasing the groove. Like, how many reps do you have under the bar? Do you have 10,000 reps? Have you done enough? So I read a lot of it. I just kind of shake my head and laugh a little bit where I'm like, yeah, your accessory work, it's called the bars. Lift weights.
And at the end, even around at the regionals, there's so much shit on it that was like, I'm extreme, I'm elite, and all this stuff. And that's cool. That's a cool community to be a part of, I guess. But amateur shouldn't be seen as a derogatory term. I've been lifting weights since I was 16 years old. And just being around John, who's got another decade on me in training, if not more, like I feel like an amateur, and I'm not afraid to admit that. You should always be going, trying new stuff. At the end of the day, it is about just mileage under the bar. You just got to squat more. That's one thing we've noticed recently, just because there's been some spotty training due to work, travel, family, other stuff we just out of our control. What we notice is we're the best when we are actually lifting weights, So just get out there, put in the time, and that's how you get better.
Yeah, I mean, like for me, and I use an analogy of the dirt with myself, in that it's like as long as I'm moving the dirt, like I don't have every day, I don't have the time to be able to bring a shovel every day. Like I was right in the middle of squatting about 2 hours ago, and just as I'm about to start working up to my peak sets, my wife comes in and it's like I have a doctor's appointment and drops the kids off and the dog. And my 18-month-old daughter is just sitting there screaming. So what do? I end up holding her for an hour. And then just as I start getting going after she comes and picks them back up, and now we're here on a podcast, and now I'll go back out and finish. And yeah, it sucks. But unfortunately, as long as I'm able to move the dirt each week or each day, and I'm able to really amass a volume of training, then I continue to get better. It's just time in and time out. Like, the only way you're really ever going to build that tensile strength and that strength within the organism is by being under a heavy bar and doing the lifts and like grinding and going every day. Everybody's looking for some like magical, like, ooh, my squat sucks, but I magically did some one-arm dumbbell rows and now my squat is better. That doesn't work like that. Like if I were to watch you, a lot of guys squat and they have a glaring weakness in their upper back where they can't support the weight and they're getting crumbled, I'd probably tell them, like, yeah, you need some more vertical pulls. We got to do some more pulling to try to get some back stuff. But when the whole fucking thing is weak, I don't know what to tell you. Like, get stronger, lift weights,
just squat.
Fucking do it. Like I almost feel like fucking taking crazy pills sometimes when I read the message boards, where it's like, dude, just fucking stay the course. Like, everybody is looking for this. Like, I saw one guy in there that blew my mind. This one guy posted he had put like 45 pounds on his bench in 7 months, and some guy's like, I'd be pissed off with those results. I don't know if this program's any good. Dude, if I put 45 pounds on my bench in 2 years, I'd be fucking excited. I mean,
I remember that same post. It was like, what the fuck's that guy talking about?
At the level at which we're training, like, we fight for pounds, like 5-10 pounds. I mean, I know it's great to be an amateur and come on and put 2.5 pounds every time you walk in the door. And at the end of, hopefully in the end of 20, 30 weeks, you've packed on this weight. But shit, man, like, once that ends, like, you fight for pounds, I mean, and it's, I'm just, I don't know. I either I'm messed up or people are unrealistic or, really expecting some things. But, I mean, really those gains from that amateur, blow my mind. But I do enjoy when people post to YouTubes. I usually try to watch them. And just the biggest thing is, like, you need more reps. You need to be stronger as an organism. You need to be able to develop that tensile strength. And the only way you build that is by putting heavy weight on your bar, picking up heavy weight, benching heavy weight, lifting heavy weights. All the accessory work in the world isn't going to make you stronger if you haven't built the base strength foundation, if you haven't hammered yourself out of with those barbells. And
you also need eyes on you too. And I know a lot of people don't have training partners, but seek out a coach. Get in front of a coach every once in a while. If YouTube's the only way you're going to do it on the CrossFit football boards, you get what you pay for. But we like to say coach needs coach. That's Tex's second line. No. Tex always says coach needs coach, and he also says same jelly, different jam.
Yeah, that one still doesn't make any sense to me. But no, I mean, shit, I'm out there squatting, and I still, Luke's still giving me pointers. Like, I was, on my last set, I was high on my first rep and then buried my second. I got forward on my toes, but unless you have somebody actually giving you those cues, like, hey, sit back, chest up, big breath. Squeeze your traps. I mean, all these little cues, you just end up kind of replicating the same shitty stuff and
don't get stronger.
You don't get stronger. It's funny. I had a meeting yesterday with a guy and we were talking and he made at least in my eyes, the mother of all fuck ups is the practice makes perfect, which drives me crazy because it's not practice that makes perfect. It's perfect practice that makes perfect. Somebody can practice and replicate shit over and over again. And they're never going to get better. It's just going to look continually shittier. And they're going to ask, why aren't I getting better? He's been replicating shitty stuff over and over.
Yeah,
and now you've basically effectively built these neuromuscular pathways or movement patterns that are terrible. And you have no hope of changing them. So, that's why we say perfect practice makes perfect. So, I mean, just practice in general, just randomly doing shit isn't going to get you better.
I mean, I don't know how many times we got like new members coming into the gym who've worked out at, like a Bally's or some kind of corporate gym. They come in, load up the bar with a shit ton of weight. They're going to squat it. They barely get above parallel even, and they rack it. And they look at me like, what'd you think of that? And I'm still waiting for you to squat. I'm like, well, what the fuck was that? You know what I mean? Lighten up the weight and get low, man. And well, that's how I squat. This is the way I've been doing it for years. And basically just replicating shitty movement for years. Bad motor pathways. Yeah. It's like you got to start all over again. Here's a box. Lower you down to that box, and then they get all frustrated because I'm putting a box under you, but it's like, we gotta start from the beginning now and get the movement right so you can have perfect practice. I like that.
Yeah, perfect practice. Because practice can make perfect, but if you're doing it shitty, then it's making perfect shit, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And we see it. We do that at our seminars. We see it. We ask people to, just as a preview for those of you who haven't been there, guys like, Steve, we have you do strict pull-ups and we have you try to keep a neutral head, and you'd be amazed at how, think about your typical CrossFitter, how many reps they have on a pull-up bar, whether it's butterfly or kipping, where they're trying to do anything to get their chin over the bar and they break at that C-spine. Thousands. Millions, I don't know, maybe millions, I don't know. But you ask them to do that in a controlled environment at a slow pace, and they still cannot break that movement pattern, that habit. It's crazy. So, but let's go forward on this. I know.
And it's important.
Go on, Steve.
What's up?
What were you saying?
Oh, I was just going to say a final comment about that. Sort of perfect practice makes perfect is that it's especially true I see with youngsters. We get youngsters in our gym and even my 2-year-old, nowadays kids sit in chairs all day long and they don't have any direction with respect to movement. And you could see that happening very easily in young kids developing with bad, and like we said, get a good coach, a bad coach or no coach whatsoever. The same kind of bad motor programs that are then really, really hard to break when they go into the gym and really want to work out. Like Denny was saying, guys who can't squat below parallel and that sort of thing. But maybe we should move on to our next question. Denny, you got this one?
Yeah, it's from our guy Dreadlocked. He's actually asking 3 questions. I think the first 2 we've kind of gone over with before on some of the other podcasts, but I like his last one where he talks about like keeping a diary of your workouts. He asked hey guys, I'm wondering if you could talk about if anything you do with your own data. I have a notebook that goes back like 2 years. It's great to be able to check what I squatted last week, but should I be using it in a more critical / productive way?
Well, okay. So we'll
guys, I was going to say, I've kind of kept my own, like Excel spreadsheet, my workout since like 2007. And it's great to go back if I'm going to repeat a certain, like DWAT or something to see what my time was or, my strength numbers. But I'll be honest, like the past 6 or 7 months, I kind of haven't been writing all that stuff down. I know where I stand on all my lifts. And, the conditioning is changed, constantly changing. I know if I can kind of if I'm crushed and I feel like I gave it my all, I'm cool with that. I'm not going to run home and kind of, write that down in a spreadsheet. But, we also have a website at the gym that, you can key in your numbers and that'll remember it as well. So, I guess what I'm trying to say is my own personal case, I don't really use that data for anything. I kind of, it's just kind of open right now.
Really? Denny, yeah. I'm completely 180 degrees out of phase with you. And the people on the CrossFit football boards used to make fun of me, and I don't post it like this anymore.
You don't post the humidity anymore.
I don't. Hey,
yeah,
listen,
right. 72 degrees humidity. I always thought that was cool.
When you train outside, though, those kinds of things affect you, right? And so I remember talking to Greg Glassman one time, and he's talking about constant variation. And he says to me, do you know what that means? And I was like, yeah, of course I do. It's like changing the workout every day. He like, well, what about like where you train, altitude you train, temperature you train, equipment you train with? And I was like, dang, I never really thought about that. And so a couple of buddies of mine started tracking that. And, I haven't gone over it with a fine tooth comb, but I do know on certain days, like when it's cold, I have notes saying things like, I have got to warm up differently, not just longer, but just differently altogether. When it's hot and humid, when it's, pushing 100 degrees and 80, 90% humidity, my conditioning is going to suck because I can't breathe, right? So, I mean, I think some of those things, you guys laugh at me. And then I also track what I do post-workout. And really, I just do that as sort of an ongoing sort of experiment on myself, right? You know, what works? Is milk post-workout good? Is just protein? Is creatine? What is working for me? If I'm doing it, if am I taking too much fish oil, too little fish oil, what have you? So I know, but that's how I roll, right? I'm a science geek. So, but I use that data all the time and always reflect back on thinking about what time of year it is, what kinds of things I can expect from my lungs. So I differ completely, but I'm glad to know that y'all are making fun of me behind my back.
Yeah. Well, now it's right to your face, I guess, or to your ears. But
yeah.
Anytime I train, I write it down in terms of what I go and look back for, or why we've looked back in notes is more so like, hey, remember we'll be talking about what worked, what didn't work, and more times than not, like, yeah, we got really strong that 1 week. What was different? And that's the only time I've really referenced it. I just have terrible short-term memory. I'm like Guy Pearce in Memento. Like, I need to tattoo everything on my arms, on my neck and stuff. So if I don't take notes constantly, then I just tend to forget, where I'm at. And it's just because I'm moving 100 different directions at once. But I don't know. I'm not necessarily, I wouldn't consider myself a scientist, but I have an appreciation for granular data. So, Steve, I thought it was great that you were doing that stuff. I know Callie had no appreciation for it, but she sees everything in black and white. She's two-dimensional. But nice. Just, I guess, to address, I think I met Dreadlocked in Missouri, and he brought his weird signs, like, binder of whatever else he had in there, is like sketches of birds and like naked characters of himself, and then his training log, which but no, it's legit. And at the end of the day, Steve, I know you and I had talked about it. He also asked something about what? Oh, do the results affect programming at all? Yeah, short answer is yeah. John looks through the boards and has a few anchor points he looks at in terms of regular posters. And I know that he takes that into account for his programming. But Steve and I, eventually, once we free up some time, we're going to take an approach on how we can maybe try to capture some data and do some study on it. Right, Steve?
Yeah,
right?
That's the plan. Yeah, I would love to. So in terms of as you guys follow the program, yeah, put your results in there. If you're following behind, try to double post it on the day you did it and the current day. We'll figure that out. But at the end of the day, there's just so much information out there. We got to figure out how we're going to compartmentalize all that stuff. Yeah. Yeah. And probably know that, if you're somebody who it's not working for, it doesn't mean that the whole program is going to change around, one data point.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Well, I think that's all the questions we had, right, Denny? At least for this week.
Absolutely.
Do you guys have any closing words, or John, I'm sure if you're even still there, you want to get back to your squatting or whatever you're doing?
Yeah, I'm going to try to get, my workout was supposed to start at about 9:00 and I'm going on roughly 3 hours now. So this is like the longest workout of my life. And I've only gotten 3 exercises done.
Let's see, anything else?
Has the humidity changed?
No, it's always nicer in Southern California. I think that's why we don't have an appreciation for what you were writing. Cause I'm like, it's always about 67 degrees with no humidity here in Southern California.
I know. My wife just got back from Long Beach. She was out there for a conference and she called me and she was like, I don't think I'm coming back. And I was like, what? Yeah, it's apparently great. I've never been out there.
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, it's
you got to make the trip.
If you're into this type of stuff, I mean, Luke hates it, wants to go back to Napierville all the time.
Just want to go sit in a cube and push pencils.
Well, I heard that Napierville is nicer than Naperville. They're next door to each other. It's two separate towns. So, pretty excited. I've only been to Napierville. I haven't been to Naperville yet, have I?
You're missing out, dude. The Lantern. Let's see what else is there.
And then there's the
Lantern, CrossFit Naperville. What else is Naperville? That's all I know of, really.
Nice.
Let's see what else we got. Team series is going strong. Get signed up. I know California event's probably going to sell out here in the next couple of weeks. Same thing with the Midwest. We're basically just ditching the whole late registration thing because I don't know. People are just signing up late. So get your team signed up. I think there's just maybe a half dozen spots left for the Chicago one. Southern California selling out. Freddie's doing a great job in NorCal. He's selling his out. We got certs coming up. Where are we going to be? Ohio, Naperville, the Paris of the Midwest, as I like to call it.
Naperville,
Providence, Rhode Island.
Buenos Aires.
Oddly enough, we're almost sold out in Buenos Aires, Argentina, which
nice.
blew me away. The other one that's pretty big right now, we got the UK is pretty big. And then we also have a combination of CERT in Germany / Oktoberfest / Power Athlete Team Series. And I heard a rumor that maybe some of the CrossFit football staff might actually be competing in that one. So maybe as ringers. But I don't know. We're still that one still might be up in the up to discretion.
Yeah, right. We should do it. Let's just do it.
Just show up. We're gonna have to recruit a female though. We have to find a girl.
And then, you guys, a few shows ago, John and I finalized some shirt designs. You guys are gonna get maybe 5 or 6 new shirts in the next 3 weeks.
Nice.
Awesome.
So some new shirts,
awesome.
Power Athlete shirts. It's good stuff.
Awesome. That's cool. I know people on the boards are looking for some Power Athlete stuff.
Yeah, we got that, and then we have Memorial Day this weekend. We're gonna have a barbecue on Saturday. I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, what do you guys got going for Memorial Day? You gonna paint a fence or something? Is that what you do?
Paint a fence.
I'm going
training for the team series, man.
Yeah,
I'm going to the
set
pool.
a PR.
Denny, you're guaranteeing a PR.
He said he'll set a PR in anything.
I'm guaranteeing a PR, dude.
Denny, you could be senile and anything could happen. He might not remember.
No, my Memorial Day routine usually consists of watching the Tillman Story, right? One of my favorite movies. If you haven't ever seen that documentary, it's badass. And then I go and crush a workout. So it's going to be team series based. I'm going to do a lot of prowler and then drink some beers and grill some food.
It's not paleo.
That's hopefully we'll have some good weather.
Did you say it's not paleo?
That's paleo.
No. Yeah,
paleo.
beer's paleo.
Beer's paleo.
Yeah.
Well, technically anything's paleo as long as you can.
As long as you know a caveman who did it?
Yeah. As long as you know a caveman or it doesn't have.
Yeah.
I've come to the conclusion now that anything's paleo as long as it doesn't have gluten in it. So gluten-free and paleo are kind of blurring the line.
And before the paleo people put you on a stake, John, and drive it into the ground, he's kidding. It's a joke.
Yeah, I'm just making jokes.
Yeah, right. That'll be the next thing that's posted on the forums.
Yeah.
But that's interesting because I've tried gluten-free beer. It's horrible. Horrible.
Yeah.
I disagree. I actually like it more. There was
maybe I had a bad stuff.
I love them all.
Batch.
I like the Red Bridge is good.
And
try Omission. Omission's pretty good. We'll actually the gluten-free beer will be flowing like wine, and the steaks we burn.
I like the Red Bridge, and I think there's. Yeah, nice.
I'm on. I'm kind of with Denny. I don't know how I feel about either of those. It's more of a function type deal. What's going to get the job done quicker. I know Ben and Callie are big into wine coolers and Smirnoff Ice and stuff like that.
Zima.
Yeah.
Zima. They drink Zima?
Actually, I'm pretty
Zima.
sure.
Do they still make that?
Zima.
Well, obviously they do.
Basically made a bed out of it. He sleeps on the cases and then he periodically brings them out. I'm like, where did you get Zima? He's like, I got it saved. He Ben loves a Zima, a Bartles and James. Maybe a Jack Daniel's killer cocktail iced tea thing. I mean, that's what he's into.
Nice. Pink is always extended.
Yes, always extended.
Oh god.
We're off the reservation, men. Let's
Zima.
Let's call it a show. You guys got anything else?
No, I'm good. You good, Danny?
I'm good.
All right, cool. All right, thanks. Well, then I guess Power Athlete is out of here.
Take care, guys.
Yeah.
All right.
See you guys.
Adios,
Thanks.
amigos.
All right, bye-bye.